I'm trying to improve on my skills in editing in Adobe Premiere, and so I'm editing a speed build I did. Also, I've never done a voiceover before, so this should be fun. Okay, here we go. So I started this build off like I do any, just making a bunch of boxes. And I tried to go with a kind of unique shape for this one, but that ended up kind of biting me in the ass later because that became very difficult. Going with the unique shape made it much more difficult to roof than I had expected because I don't have any forethought. So anyways, I wanted to add a lot of open doors and windows because I feel like Sulani is one of the only places you can really get away with that. It's a little hard to do in some other places, maybe Granite Falls, but I don't personally build there that often. So I really like to do this when I get the chance. I also added some diagonal walls here to try and create a little bit more space. And I would really love this elevated foundation on the poles, so I definitely had to use those. I end up changing that fence out and adding in something else. I go with some half walls here, but those do not stay. The other thing that was kind of disappointing was I wanted to use more outdoor retreat and jungle adventure windows, but the wood just doesn't quite match. So there's one, I think it's a jungle adventure window that I use, but that's the only one, and that's because it's kind of in the shade. You'll see me test it and see how it looks in the shade just to make sure I can get away with it. But this is kind of the shape of the house. This is pretty much how it stays, and here's me switching out the fence to what it is in the end. I also skipped through a lot of the roofing because the roofing took me forever and made me want to cry and scream. But I think it ended up okay. I think I did the best that I could with the weird shape that it was. I'm getting a lot better at roofing than I was, but I did also give myself a bit of a challenge with this one. It wasn't just kind of normal rectangular shapes. So it's a little odd, just don't stare at it for too long. So I added these little roofing pieces that I changed to a yellow color. I thought that looked kind of cool. The other thing is, for me personally, I notice when I build in island living in Sulani a lot, I use a lot of browns and yellows because I kind of like making huts and shacks, but then I feel like it gets too brown and too yellow. So I tried to add a lot more color with the plants and the scenery. I think island living probably has some of my favorite landscaping and plants because they're just so pretty, and the flowers. Also, I feel like they don't really fit in all the other places, maybe some in, I don't know. I just feel like they don't always fit in other worlds, so this one I felt like I wanted to go ham because I could finally use them and have it look right. I also added some other random stuff, like I like the shipwreck thing. This is ideally I had in mind for a young college student, but who's like living and selling things on the island. So I wanted it to look kind of like a shack, not really luxury, a bunch of random stuff around, kind of clashing. So I put like a lot of random stuff out here. My dogs are barking. Do I have to edit that out? Gosh, I don't know how this works. Anyways, so here's me adding some more clutter and things because I figured if you're selling things, you're also a student, you're just kind of holding on to a bunch of stuff. There would be a lot of boxes and random stuff hanging around. I also really like a lot of the island living items, so I tried to use as many as I could. I really like that buoy rope thing. I also used the same flooring and wallpaper as they do on the outside on the inside because I feel like it's all wood that's kind of realistic, and then added the color through the furniture. Again, I also went with a lot of mismatch items because I feel like when you're a young college student, you don't really have the money to buy a whole beautifully matching furniture set. So I felt like that was more realistic. And also, to be completely honest with you, it's just easier for me to furnish because then it looks like it was intentional. If I try to match a bunch of things, I feel like it doesn't come out quite right. I'm working on it. We're getting there, but this is easier for me. I think it looks kind of cool. I like doing really stylized builds where it's like I have a specific sim in mind. I added these skateboards. I felt like it was the closest thing to surfboards, so it kind of looked cool. I don't know. I also found that fan. I'd never seen that fan before in my life. I didn't even have the debug menus open, so I don't know why I've never seen that before, but I felt like it fit. And then I'm just adding a bunch of clutter onto this nightstand, doing that little trick to try and get as much clutter as you can on one surface. And again, just more random papers and books and stuff. Also, I had plants and everything. And the magazine rack, so I can try to limit the amount of blank space, but also it's a tiny home, so I still wanted to make sure I had enough space to walk through. I struggled a little bit with the kitchen. Kitchens are hard in tiny homes because you don't really have the option to downsize completely, so I do switch the door out to a single square door from laundry day. That way I can get one square back of space in the home. Also, since she is a student, I wanted to make sure she had a place to do work on her laptop. I figured this could kind of dual as a computer desk, but also you could eat on it if you wanted to, but I also figured you can eat in front of the couch like most normal people, especially if you're living alone. So this is kind of more of a little study area that I tried to personalize. So she had a place to go do her stuff. That was the thing I wanted to make sure, even though I was doing a tiny house, is that there was a full desk. The only trash can on this lot is that one right there in the back. So it is an outdoor trash can. I didn't really have the room to put in a smaller indoor trash can, but I figured since this was Sulani, it's warm, it's close to the kitchen, it would be fine. I tried a couple things, but it just didn't really work out, so that's all. And then I kind of decorated the kitchen a bit more, wanted to personalize it, added some things in there using the red shelf because I am a mediocre builder, but I'm not a beginner. I know about the red shelf, which helps a lot. It's pretty much the only CC furniture I have, excluding the CC furniture I have from a funeral mod because, you know, that's important. But I delete it, so there's no CC in this build. Okay, fun fact about the rug. I use my sim self every time I'm doing a playtest so that I can make sure everything works. And I had moved myself in here with Kim Namjoon from BTS that I found off the gallery, and because I needed him to take pictures of my sim anyways. And he decided to start cooking while I was trying to like playtest and get screenshots, and he burned something. So he burned the stove and burned the carpet, and I didn't notice until later. I fixed the stove, but in my screenshots you don't see the carpet because it's actually just a clump of ashes on the ground, and I couldn't just drag it to the trash can, so I just didn't do anything with it. So yeah, it's a nice carpet, but that doesn't stay, not on purpose. Anyways, here's the back portion. It's just some towels and stuff, pretty casual. You're hanging out with your friend. I feel like anybody, if you're on that back deck, it doesn't really matter, because like, look at that view, you know? It doesn't matter if you have a nice chair or anything. I think that's fine. Some more clutter, just where I picture you would have things using for storage, and I think that's about it. So thank you for watching, and here are some screenshots of my build.